Hello everybody, I'm Larry Madowo, live at Nation Center. This is the very latest from the NTV newsroom. We've got now just something like 16 days to the general election. Two pollsters, Ipsos Synovate and Infotrak, are releasing the poll results today. We just saw the Ipsos results, and President Uhuru Kenyatta has dropped by 1 point to 47%, while Raila remains at 43%. So one more time, Ipsos telling us this morning that President Uhuru Kenyatta is now at 47%, and Raila Odinga has remained at 43%. And right now, their competitor, Infotrak, also releasing their poll results, and that is where we find NTV's Dan Mule. NTV, what is the difference? Dan, what is the difference between these two polls?
Okay, thank you, Larry. Of course, we are standby outside the Infotrak offices who are just about to release their opinion polls on party popularity, presidential candidates' popularity, as well as the state of the nation as far as confidence levels are concerned. But as you said earlier, the Ipsos released their results about the same. And as you said, President Uhuru Kenyatta is the most popular presidential candidate according to their findings. And they say that he would garner 47% of the vote, and Raila Odinga would garner 43% of the vote if elections are to be held today. They also talked about the confidence levels, where still President Uhuru Kenyatta is still leading on confidence levels, with 40% of Kenyans having confidence in him and 39% of Kenyans having confidence in Raila Odinga. They went further to look to ask about the confidence level of the running mates, and they say that Kalonzo Musyoka, who is the NASA running mate, has a popularity of 34%. Not popularity, but confidence levels. Kenyans have a confidence levels of 34% on Kalonzo Musyoka and 33% on William Ruto. And then we see that they also talked about the number of Kenyans who say they will not vote, and that is 1% of the registered voters. And the voters gave reasons why they are not going to vote. And some of the reasons, they say 24% of the Kenyans who say they will not vote say they'll be away from their polling stations, while 13% of the Kenyans say that they have no confidence in IEBC. And then we have 13% of Kenyans who say they fear there could be violence, so for that reason they'll not be voting. And then we have 6% of Kenyans who say they have no desirable candidate in this contest, so they're not going to vote for that reason. Maybe one thing they've also talked about is that the people who are undecided is 5% when it comes to the presidential race. They say that 5% of Kenyans are undecided on whom they are going to choose in this contest. And when they're talking about the confidence levels, they have said that the confidence levels of Kalonzo Musyoka have increased compared to that of William Ruto, saying that that's a big boost to the Raila's camp. But again, they say we are going to see what will happen. This opinion poll was collected, they came about with this opinion poll after doing their research in the month of June. And maybe one more thing they also talked about, they say that it's not likely that you're going to have a runoff. They say that they think Uhuru Kenyatta will be winning this in the first run of the elections. And then they've also talked about the number of Kenyans who feel the country is headed to the right directions. And they say that 61% of Kenyans feel the country is not headed to the right direction. And most of the Kenyans who think the country is headed to the right direction are those from central Kenya, with those from the NASA strongholds. Those from NASA strongholds, 48% of them believe the country is not headed to the right direction. So that's it for now. Larry will still be waiting to hear what Infotrak will say and see if the opinion poll will be different from that of Ipsos, or it will be the same in a number of these issues pertaining the presidential candidate's popularity as well as the state of the nation as far as confidence levels of Kenyans are concerned.
Many thanks, Dan Mule, at Ipsos, which is actually at Infotrak, which is also just about to release its opinion poll shortly after Ipsos did the same. And they're very controversial, these polls, right? Because politicians look at them, and when it doesn't paint them in the right light, they dismiss them. I've also got with me right now NTV's Andrew Chieng. NASA is expected to be campaigning in Nairobi today and addressing a press conference. Andrew Chieng is here in the city. Andrew, what are you hearing? What can we expect?
Well, thank you so much. As you can see right behind me, the NASA principals are just arriving for the press conference, which was supposed to begin at around 12 o'clock, but they are late. They were at the church service at the Friends Church around Ngong Road there, and as you can see, there are the NASA principals who are at the service. That is Raila Odinga, the presidential candidate for NASA, just getting into Orange House. They were together with Moses Wetangula as well as Musalia Mudavadi. There you can see them just getting into Orange House. This press conference has been delayed because of the church service that they were attending at the Friends Church along Ngong Road. So that is what is happening here. We are expecting a press briefing from the four of them in a few minutes' time when they will be ready for that. After this, they will be having a political rally. There is two of them. There's one near here at the Joseph Kangade grounds in Woodley. Then they will be having another rally in Madare later on in the evening. So that is what we expect from them, the press conference. Probably one of the things we are expecting is the reaction to the directive that was given by the acting Interior Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, about the issue of adopting a polling station, which has been rather controversial. The opposition insists that it will go ahead with its plan of adopting a polling station, but the Interior Cabinet Secretary, the acting Interior Cabinet Secretary, was saying that only party agents, only bona fide party agents and IEBC officials will be allowed inside the polling stations. So we are waiting for the NASA co-principals to just highlight on how they intend to go about that matter, given the new directive. We're also expecting to confirm from the NASA presidential candidate whether he will be showing up for the presidential debate tomorrow. Remember, the Jubilee side has been saying that they will not be attending these debates, but we have not yet had a word from the NASA side on whether the NASA presidential candidate will be showing up, remembering that the running mate, Kalonzo Musyoka, did not turn up when his turn was there last week. So that is what we are expecting, Riley, and I would like for you to leave me now so that we can go and set up for the press conference, which will also be just carrying live in a few minutes' time.
All right, we will leave you, Andrew. Many thanks for that update. We'll be waiting to hear what the NASA principals will be saying in Nairobi, and they've got 2 rallies planned today. President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy are campaigning in Garissa and Isiolo counties today. The duo will address 2 rallies in each of the counties, beginning at Msalani town in Garissa County, and that is where NTV's Kennedy Mureithi is. Kennedy, give us a preview of what to expect this afternoon.
Well, Larry, a few minutes ago, the president and his deputy have just finished a rally at the Garissa Primary School, and they're now airborne, where they are going to Masalani, where they'll be having another rally. But at this rally, whereby it started a few minutes, it has actually not lasted for so long, for about 30 minutes. They were able to speak on different issues, among them the unpreparedness that they say is now evident in their competitors, that is the NASA coalition. And they do insist that they have been putting roadblocks on the road for them to making sure that we do have an election in August, that is 15 days from now. And they do insist that they are not prepared at all for the elections. But they have insisted that if they are, then they are very ready for them. They have actually tried to ask the people of the residents of Garissa town to support them in the elections that are just 15 days away. Another thing that the Jubilee duo of President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto have spoken about is the issue that they are confident that the development projects that they have started all over the country, be it in Garissa or any other part of the country, they are confident that they will win them re-election. And they measured their speeches basically on these 2 issues, whereby they do insist that it is time that Kenyans gave them another chance. They will be here in this northern part, whereby they'll be making 3 stopovers before they do go to the county of Isiolo, and they are expected also to be selling their agenda there. Another issue that we do know that they are going to be doing in Isiolo is that they'll be visiting the international airport that is there, and they will want to associate themselves with that development project that has actually opened that region. The people from Meru will also be using that airport to transport their miraa. And now we are here in town, whereby most of the people have already left the rally after President Uhuru Kenyatta left and came to the military camp, whereby he has been airlifted by him and his deputy, and they have left for Masalani. And Larry, that is what we've been able to find out. And those are the 2 issues that they really majored upon in their rally today.
All right, many thanks. That is NTV's Ken Mureithi, who is traveling with the president And we'll have an update for us on NTV Gioni and the NTV Weekend Edition. Actually, we've got Decision 2017 at 9 p.m. today. So, a cross-section of Jubilee members of Parliament from Rift Valley and Central Kenya have been campaigning on a platform that aims at ensuring President Uhuru Kenyatta gets re-elected and Deputy President William Ruto wins the presidency for 2 terms from 2022. The group of MPs and other politicians have been campaigning in 2 groups, one in the Rift Valley and the other in the Mount Kenya region.
In Embu County, one of the Jubilee groups comprising of 12 members of parliament led by Kigumo MP Jamlek Kamau and Mary Wamboi of Othaya traversed the county from Makutano, Karaba, Getegi to Kiritiri markets in Mbeere South. The leaders say the race between President Kenyatta and NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga is a tight one, and the residents have to turn out in large numbers to vote if at all they expect President Kenyatta to retain his seat and Deputy President William Ruto to stand a chance in the 2022 presidential race.
Tunataka kumuuliza kwa unyenyekevu mkubali na mkubuke Rais Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta ndiye awe rais kwa muhula ya pili.
Kwa hivyo mimi nataka kuwaomba siku ya uchaguzi tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8 muamuke mapema muende mpigie Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
Hapa niko na mtu ambaye ametoka all the way from Nakuru.
Meanwhile, their counterparts from Rift Valley held similar campaigns in Nandi led by Baringo Governor Benjamin Cheboi. They called on residents to be wary of leaders who have nothing to offer Kenyans and lack a vision to lead the country. They say Kenyans will be happy of the developments the country will make if they allow both Uhuru and Ruto 2 terms each at the helm of the country's leadership. The leaders toured areas of Maraba, Nandi Hills, Kaptumo, Kapsabet, Baraton, Kaiboi, Chepterwai, and Kipkaren, saying they will continue with such campaigns until the last minute. Daniel Mule, NTV.
CIS Senator James Orengo and Rarieda ODM candidate Otiende Amolo have criticized the acting Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i over his statements that the government would not allow NASA to adopt a polling station. Orengo said Matiang'i cannot dictate to the opposition how many agents it should have at polling stations. Speaking at the funeral of Luke Odhiambo in Sega, Orengo said the opposition would not allow the acting Interior Cabinet Secretary to interfere with their plans. He insisted that NASA is going to implement the adopt a polling station strategy, saying that it was a right that cannot be taken away. On Friday, Matiang'i issued a directive on officials allowed at polling stations, dismissing the plan by the opposition to have monitors at each polling station to guard its presidential votes. He had said that only presiding officers, deputies, polling clerks, and accredited party agents would be at polling stations on 8th August.
Today, come to me. You are Larry Madowo and
we are going to implement the Adapt a Polling Station program in ODM and in NASA, whether you like it or not. That is our right as Kenyans, and you cannot change it.
Dr. Matiang'i is a political appointee of President Kenyatta, and he is a person who has been campaigning for President Kenyatta. He is in no position to comment about the proposals, ideas, and other issues that the opposition has adopted. It is completely lawful to have up to 6 persons within the polling center. The Elections Act is very clear. The agents can either be of a party or of a candidate. There are 6 candidates for elections. That means each of the candidates is lawfully allowed to be represented by an agent. Because we have 6 slots for elections, it means you can have up to 6 agents for representing each of the elective positions. To have a strategy where you have 5 people adopting a polling station as NASA has adopted is completely within the law, it's completely within the constitution, and it cannot be erased, it cannot be stopped by a ministerial decree.
Tana River Governor Hussein Dado has defended his track record and urged residents to reject those challenging him, saying if given another term, he would unite all communities in the county. Dado was speaking when he launched a bus for campaigns called Tana SGR for door-to-door campaigns. The bus is fitted with what is described as executive seats, a bedroom, a television set, and a refrigerator. It also has a sound system that enables him to address the public during stopovers whenever he goes. Dado first took his campaigns to Hewani in Wema, an area perceived to be a stronghold of his opponents. He told residents that electing a new candidate would delay development since it would take time for them to learn how to run county affairs. He also said he would empower women and youth in the county as their key in his development agenda.
Lakini hiyo maendeleo kidogo nyinyi hisabu kama ni lele mama ni nduru, sawa? Ngoma yenyewe bado. Kwa sababu saa hizi mtu mpya mkimweka gavana ataanza kujifundisha vile sisi tulipoteza zaidi ya miaka 2.5 tukijifundisha kazi ya gavana. Yaani hiyo ni kama kuanzisha foundation. Mimi nimeweka foundation, sasa miaka 5 hii nataka kujenga Tana River. Kitu ya kwanza nimefanya, nimejaribu kwa uwezo wa Mwenyezi Mungu kuleta amani.
We want to take you right now live to the press conference that is being addressed by NASA principals here in the city. We understand right now the Senator Moses Wetangula is speaking. Let's listen in.
Policemen in quotes will swing into action to intimidate, terrorize, and disperse the voters. We urge the Jubilee leadership to immediately reverse course and abandon what would be an irretrievable blow to our country's stability. This will destroy the amity that has been so painfully constructed since 2007 through the continent's first grand coalition government and the new constitution. The constitution defines the role of the security agencies and explicitly forbids them to promote the interests of any political party or cause. The security forces cannot be used to militarize our democratic, civil, and political culture that Kenyans won with so much sacrifice, which has been thriving since 2002. For avoidance of doubt, let me reiterate that NASA is deeply proud of our military. The Kenya Defense Forces remain one of the finest in the world. We know that KDF remains committed to its proud tradition of professionalism, but Jubilee is desperate. A failed regime will do anything, including pulling down a highly reputable institution like KDF. One aspect of this failed regime is the huge role that has been inflicted on Kenyans by the growing insecurity that's been allowed to stalk our land. But it would be sheer madness to descend to yet another level of chaos to satisfy the political and financial greed of the small Jubilee elite. This fabulously wealthy group has become used in the last 4 years to loot the public purse at will, even as the vast majority of our families are no longer able to meet their essential food and other needs. This has never happened to for such a prolonged period in our history. At the same time, more and more Kenyans are seeing the NASA coalition broadening its appeal and providing a much-needed and vastly credible alternative to the utter dysfunction and deprivation that Jubilee has presided over for 4 years. NASA stands ready to govern. This is what has sent Jubilee into a panic and make it hatch these destructive scenarios. It is willing to destroy our peace to cling to power and its ill-gotten gains. We want to assure Kenyans that we are not making these distress revelations lightly. What is going on has never happened in our country before. The government is breaking all bounds of constitutionality, and an election is being replaced by a rolling coup d'etat. We must do everything in our power to stop it peacefully. Even as we mobilize opinion and the power of exposure to prevent this catastrophe, we simultaneously want to reassure everyone that we are taking every possible step to prevent these plans from coming to fruition. In the last 3 days, we have met and alerted the African Union, the European Union, and the other electoral observer missions, as well as the European Union ambassadors, about these plans. We have also provided detailed information of these plans to the Chief of the General Staff of KDF, Joseph Boynet, the Inspector General of the Police Service, Director General NIS, the Attorney General, and Mr. Wafula Chebukati, the IEBC chairman. We have also alerted all human rights and governance NGOs. We are confident that we will all be alarmed and will take steps in, we are confident that they will all be alarmed and will take steps in their own ways and jurisdictions to help scuttle these evil plans. The audacity of these plans can be gauged by the fact that for months now, the Jubilee government has been openly indicating that all the so-called election hotspots are primarily in NASA strongholds. Astounding as it might seem, the government has not identified any hotspots in the Jubilee strongholds. The reason is all too clear. Jubilee has no intention to give Kenyans a chance to express their will in the great democratic moment that people have been waiting for and is now imminent. Jubilee cannot lose. It has stacked the deck and knows there will be no unhappy people in its strongholds. Jubilee has ensured that trouble will only erupt in NASA strongholds. There are a number of other plans afoot to arrive at a distorted electoral outcome. Our presidential candidate is being shadowed by cars whose registrations are in our possession. We also have documents which we released 3 days ago, which show that a team of 42 police officers has been demobilized, in quotes, and will be recruited as IEBC presiding officers and polling clerks. Kenyans will remember a similar exercise that was undertaken prior to 2013 elections to corrupt the electoral outcome. Nairobi will also see a very high degree of militarization, with all major roads heavily patrolled by army units designed to intimidate a population that has very little familiarity with such display of crude and brute force. Let me once again assure Kenyans that we are confident that these plots will not see the light of day, and now that we have exposed them widely, they will freeze. In addition, given there are tens of thousands of polling stations, it will take a lot more soldiers than KDF can deploy for a decisive impact on the elections. The country has had its fill of plunder and deprivation. People everywhere are suffering the pangs of hunger, and virtually everything they need is becoming unaffordable. Everyone except the super rich is fed up, including those in the Jubilee strongholds who voted for them in 2013. Everyone wants change. NASA stands ready to govern as soon as all of you give us the democratic mandate on 8th of August this year. We urge all Kenyans to show up on polling day with their own show of force, a force of peace and democracy, loving voters 19 million strong, determined to peacefully elect leaders to chart a much better future for our country. And we want to tell Kenyans that the power of the people is stronger than the people in power. And we have no doubt that the power of the people will be manifested on the 8th of August this year. Thank you. It's as clear as it is. Any questions?
Press conference at Orange House in just a moment. The NASA leaders addressing a press conference. And just before we cut away from it, Moses Wetangula was just alleging a claim that 42 police officers have been what he calls demobilized to take part in what he claims is a plot to rig the election. And he says Jubilee has no intention of giving Kenyans the democratic right to elect their leaders. And he says that NASA is ready to lead this country if given a chance on 8th August. So once again, repeating a claim that NASA has made repeatedly about the polls being free and fair, and raising concerns if that will be possible. They say they're calling upon their supporters to come out on 8th August with a show of force, but a peaceful show of force, to elect them so that they can have a mandate to lead this country. And Moses Wetangula was also talking about how the cost of living has become high, and this is for everyone, including in the Jubilee areas, the people that voted for Jubilee government. We'll rejoin that in a moment, but in the meantime, political leaders from West Pokot County now want the government to stop the ongoing operation in that county, in Baringo and Laikipia counties specifically, during this electioneering period. The leaders said residents now live in fear of security forces owing to the ongoing operation, and they may not come out to vote on election day. They claim some residents have already fled from their homes. They now want the government to empower and facilitate leaders and youth from the region to engage to ensure peace before and after the elections.
Wachukue hatua kali kwa ile mtu yote ambaye atavunja sheria, kwa sababu Kenya ni kubwa kuliko mtu mmoja ambaye anaweza kuchochea wananchi.
Kama sasa kuna kijana askari walipata yake kichunga ng'ombe na wanamimina risasi, iko kwa social media kila mahali, hata dunia mzima, na ni askari na anacheka, na anajua kwamba huyu jamaa amekuwa sasa maiti ya jicho chote yake atafuata vile wanasema ukiua kwa risasi.
I want to cover your sports real quick. It will be an all-Kenyan Premier League clash this afternoon in the GoTV Shield round of 16, with Sofapaka facing Kariobangi Sharks at Nyayo Stadium. On Saturday, defending champions Tusker FC hammered Minnows Butterfly FC 4-1 at the Kinoru Stadium in Meru County. Sony Sugar came out tops in the Millers Derby, beating Nzoia Sugar 1-0 to sail into the quarter-finals. National Super League club Vihiga United beat Kakamega Homeboys 5-4 on penalties after the match had ended 1-1 in regulation. Hosts Bandari saw off the challenge of Nakumatt FC, winning 3-2 at Mbaraki, as Eldoret Youth defeated Savannah by a similar scoreline at the Kipchoge Keino Stadium in Eldoret, where GFE 105 lost 2-0 to Wazito FC. The national 15s rugby team on Saturday pulled off a stunning 41-22 win over hosts Zimbabwe in a Rugby Africa Gold Cup game played in Bulawayo. Kenya Simbas, who led 12-17 at the break, scored 2 quick tries after the restart to give themselves an unbreachable cushion. As Kenya bagged a bonus point win, Namibia beat Uganda 48-24 in Kampala to lead the Rugby Africa Gold Cup standings with 20 points, followed by Kenya, who have 17. Kenya and Namibia will face off in Windhoek next Saturday as Zimbabwe hosts Tunisia.
Playing expensive and funny rugby, it was just to play winning rugby. So sometimes you play winning rugby that's ugly, but the score shows it was actually a good game.
Olympic marathon gold medalist Eliud Kipchoge says he will attempt to break the world record during September's 2017 Berlin Marathon. Kipchoge, who will not feature at the IAAF World Championship next month in London, fell short of becoming the first person to run a marathon in less than 2 hours by 26 seconds when he ran the 42.2-kilometer Monza motor racing track in Italy in May.
My preparation is going on well, and I trust that there will be no hitch and everything. So for the next 2 months, I will be really concentrating fully on training, nothing like this. In this world, you don't keep up. I have not that given up, but I am happy actually with the run I ran in the last 2 months in Monza. That's running 2 hours flat. I'm really happy with the time.